Nikhil Dey is with us, of course, MKSS. He's someone who's been working in the grassroots, is joining us. Thanks very much indeed, Nikhil, for being on. Just your first reaction to the budget, particularly in terms of what you're seeing in terms of money that has been allotted or not allotted to social schemes, to welfare schemes, farmers and so on. Yes, Nikhil, go ahead. Nikhil, can you hear us?
So sorry. So actually the details, even for all of us, need a little bit of time to unravel and look at. Some of the things that we were hoping for, clearly in terms of primarily an urban employment guarantee scheme, there's been no such announcement, which we were hoping would be something that would be very important. We had very clear figures that of what we need in terms of NREGA, because last year there was about a 30% cut in the budget from the previous year, from 2021, and that's resulted in a lot of pain through this year for NREGA workers. And therefore, we have very clear figures of what is needed, but actually we have to wait for part of this to be uploaded. Pensions, for instance, social security pensions, welfare scheme, that's very important. 15 years, there's been no increase at all. And we have to look at those figures. So I am also trying to look through to see, because apart from the larger, what the government considers big picture announcements, the others are still to be figured out. If you get them, I can immediately, of course, also make it clear to you what we see vis-a-vis what our expectations were, because our expectations are clear. But there are 3 or 4 things. I think the sectors that we are looking at is obviously agriculture, and agriculture has a lot to do with food security, Vasu, because it's those 90 million tons of food grain that come through procurement that actually enables people to get rations, and the Pradhan Mantri Gram Kalyan Yojana is done through the fact that there's so much food grain available. We are looking very hard at NREGA and foreign urban employment guarantee, whether it's there. We are looking at education, which took a 10% cut last year in the education budget, and we know that there's a whole generation that's being lost because everyone is relying just on online education, and the rural poor can't do any online education, and they need resources for that. We are looking at social security schemes in the sense of the social security budget was also cut as a percentage of GDP almost by half. And social security pensions have not been even indexed to inflation. They are 200 and 300 rupees per month for the elderly and for disabled and for widows from the central government, and it's a centrally sponsored scheme. So every year for the last 10 years, we've been looking at that, and that has not increased. We don't know exactly where it lies. So these are the 6 or 7 very important areas which we are looking at. And I will also, as soon as I get the figures, or either you or Sanket, if you can give us an idea, because these have not been the big announcements.
Still in the process, Mr. Dey, still in the process of getting more of this information on the budget. We have started getting some key highlights and also what we heard from the speech. But as you're rightly mentioning, and many people are rightly mentioning, it's the detail that we are awaiting. But political opinion has started coming in.
So one thing that's been considered very controversial vis-a-vis all of us and our demands, we've been saying there needs to be a wealth tax, and we've been saying where will resources come for all these social security programs. We've been saying there needs to be a wealth tax, and there needs to be an estate duty, an inheritance tax. And a group of 30 organizations called Jan Sarokar of all the major social movements have suggested that there be a 1%, 2% wealth tax.
Do you know, Mr. Dey,